Welcome back to Through a Glass Darkly Radio. You're listening to us on United Public Radio, and the intro music you heard at the beginning was Mark of the Doomslayer by Carl Casey. And it's good to see and hear everyone tonight. So let's see. Just making sure there's no complaints that people can hear me, because you never know. Hey, good evening, Miss Tessa. Okay. So I kind of came up with this last minute in terms of a topic. We'll probably cover it for the first half, and then we can talk about all the UAP news in the second half, which is crazy stuff. Yeah, I feel like people are telling me to get excited, but what they're showing me is not exciting. So, but we will definitely get to that. Now, tonight, the first thing, as I mentioned, that we're going to start talking about is, we're not necessarily going to do a deep dive because I spent very little time on this, but we're going to look into the mysterious and often unsettling world of conspiracy and intrigue. And we're going to tackle a topic that fuses high-tech espionage and Cold War geopolitics, and that is the Marconi murders. So we'll explore the history of the Marconi Corporation, not too deeply, because it's not all that interesting. Corporate history is probably a little bit will make it dangerous, and there's a little bit will be interesting, but too much will be a snore fest. But we'll look at the history of the Marconi Corporation, its ultimate acquisition by BAE Systems, or actually it was really British Aerospace at the time that acquired it, the chilling string of deaths that became known as the Marconi murders, and the bizarre theories surrounding them. So buckle up. It's going to be an interesting hour, let's just say. I don't think this is going to take 2 hours. Okay, so before we delve into the strange ring of unalivings, I'm worried I'm saying certain keywords a little bit too much, so I might have to be a little bit careful. Let's first look at the Marconi Corporation itself. So it was founded by, oh man, how do you even pronounce this name? Guglielmo Marconi, the Italian inventor who pioneered wireless telegraphy. The company became, i.e., the telegraph, the company became a global leader in communications technology. Marconi's groundbreaking work earned him a Nobel Prize in Physics in 1909. After World War II, the Marconi Company evolved into a major player in defense and communications, developing radar systems and advanced electronics for military and civilian use. By the late 20th century, Marconi Electronic Systems was a cornerstone of Britain's defense industry. Kind of after the events that you're going to hear in this particular presentation, in 1999, Marconi Electronic Systems was acquired by British Aerospace for £7.7 billion, which was approximately 12.7 billion at the time, forming BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace giant. This acquisition consolidated BAE's dominance in the defense industry, but also marked the end of the Marconi brand as an independent entity. So the history of Marconi is filled with innovation and success, but there's a darker chapter, the Marconi murders, that casts a long shadow over its legacy. Okay. So, between 1982 and 1990, a disturbing pattern emerged. Over 25 scientists, engineers, and employees associated with Marconi and related defense projects died under mysterious circumstances. So let's take a look at the facts. So here's 10 victims, okay? So in 1986, Jonathan Walsh, a digital communications expert, reportedly fell from a hotel window. His family disputed, and it was ruled a suicide. His family disputed it, citing inconsistencies with the fact pattern. Vimal Dajibhai, in 1986, he was a computer software engineer working on the Stingray torpedo project. He fell from Clifton Bay Suspension Bridge in Bristol. His death was ruled a suicide. Okay? In that same year, Arshad Sharif, a computer analyst for Marconi, Sharif was found in his car with a rope tied around his neck and another attached to a tree. His death, also ruled a suicide. Avtar Sinj Gaida, in 1987, another Marconi engineer who disappeared under mysterious circumstances, body never found. Then in 1987, David Sands, who was a senior computer scientist involved again in classified projects, Sands drove his car at high speed into a building. Again, death ruled a suicide. Again in 1987, Johnny Warren, a personal assistant at a company linked to Marconi, was found drowned in a lake with her feet bound and hands tied. Initially ruled a suicide. It's kind of interesting that you would do that. I don't know how she would get her hands and feet bound and tied by herself, but the case remains controversial. In 1988, Peter Ferry, a former Marconi worker, was found electrocuted with electrical leads clamped to his body. Again, death was ruled accidental. I don't even know where to start with that one. Alastair Beckham, 1988. An engineer was found dead in his garden shed, apparently electrocuted by electrical leads attached to his chest. Officially ruled a suicide. Like, you have a pattern here, right? There's like the last two in 1988 had a very interesting pattern. But again, accidental or suicide. John Ferry, 1988. An engineer who died from carbon monoxide poisoning in his garage. Again, official investigations ruled it a suicide. Mark Weisner, an engineer who died allegedly by an overdose. Like others, his death was ruled a suicide. Okay. So maybe we live in a high stress situation. Maybe there's something going on. I don't know, but let's see or take a break right there and see the feedback from the audience here and see if there's anything I need to pick up. Okay. Outstanding. Stephen, thank you. I really appreciate you. Thank you for that. Yeah, exactly. Marconi Union. Is that like seriously a ambient music you can get, or are you just talking about the music at the very beginning? Yes, Phlebis. We are talking about unaliving today. Lots of unaliving, a little bit too much. Transition assistance. I like that actually a lot better. Yes, creative ways to go. I think this was before the Clintons, actually. Well, they were in the Arkansas at the time, but yes, a very rule of self-aliving. I don't know. I guess they were pretty. Well, they just found a way for a creative way to do it. Maybe. Yeah, that's like. Yeah, it sounds like old school KGB torture to me, but I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, that's quite a few people. Yeah, exactly. In the cold, attaching electrical leads to probably sensitive body parts would be my guess as well, but it didn't say that, so I'm not sure. Interesting. I will have to check Marconi Union. All right, so let's go into the next phase of this. So I think the next phase of this story is: were there any commonalities with these people? Like, what exactly were they working on that put them in the unaliving mood? Let's just say. So, while the official investigations have provided little clarity, there are hints that many of the victims were working on overlapping projects tied to cutting edge defense and intelligence systems. So, these projects included Stingray torpedoes. So, that was an advanced anti submarine weapon used by the Royal Navy, radar and sonar systems. Engineers were involved in developing detection and tracking systems for submarines and aircraft. Satellite communications, projects tied to secure communication systems for military satellites likely connected to the Strategic Defense Initiative. Remember Star Wars, everyone? So, it could be something similar to that. Electronic countermeasures, or ECM, systems designed to disrupt enemy radar and communication signals. Cryptography, a few victims had expertise in developing secure encryption technologies crucial for intelligence operations. Or directed energy weapons. So there are unconfirmed reports suggesting that some victims were linked to laser based weaponry or missile defense technologies tied to the SDI initiative. So the sheer scope and sensitivity of these projects highlight the high stakes involved. Could this shared work on critical defense systems provide a common link or a common thread linking these deaths? Or maybe they just, maybe it was a high stress environment and they just did this to themselves. I highly doubt it, but it's certainly a mystery. So one thing that I looked into is, was it the Soviets, right? Could it have been the Soviets? So, which is one intriguing aspect of the case. And I was curious if there were any Soviet known persons of interest or operatives linked to the Marconi deaths. So during the Cold War, Soviet intelligence agencies like the KGB actively targeted Western scientists and defense contractors. While no specific Soviet agents were formally identified as suspects, British intelligence, a la Scotland Yard, MI6, MI5, all that sort of stuff, probably MI6, was reportedly aware of KGB interest in Marconi's projects, particularly those tied to the SDI initiative. Specific KG units such as Directorate S, so there's usually the S&T Directorate and Science and Technology Directorate, the Soviets, were responsible for deep cover espionage operations in Western countries, including the UK. So if you've ever seen that series, The Americans, that's indicative of what a Directorate S unit might look like. These units often recruited assets within scientific and defense circles, making them plausible suspects in targeting Marconi personnel. Additionally, the GRU, which is Soviet military intelligence operations, and the GRU is still around today. It's Russian military intelligence. Operations were known to involve aggressive tactics for acquiring sensitive technological information. Some researchers suggest that Soviet operatives may have used psychological or physical tactics to eliminate key individuals, framing the deaths as suicides to avoid suspicion. This theory aligns with broader KGB methods of subterfuge, where assassinations were masked to appear as accidents or self-inflicted harm. Forensic inconsistencies in some of the Marconi deaths fuel suspicions of such covert interference. So, again, just talking about commonalities, many victims were working on highly classified projects, including the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, also known as Star Wars, during the height of the Cold War. The deaths often exhibited bizarre or violent circumstances, yet many were labeled as suicides or accidents. Some deaths involved methods like electrocution, carbon monoxide poisoning, and apparent overdoses, raising questions about their plausibility as suicides. Critics question the consistency of investigations, with some suggesting a cover-up. So, again, I'm going to take a brief moment to see if other folks have anything to add. Let's see. Hey, how you doing, Only Zeus 13? Yep, shoot, So Zeus is Only Zeus 13 is asking if, ask away. If you can ask me something, ask away. All right, while that's coming, we're gonna kind of move into the next portion of. Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later on, but I do have some thoughts on that, on the egg. So I definitely have some thoughts. But before I get to that, All right. So, what was driving this spate of unalivings? So, several theories. Again, these are very broad ranging, high level, but I have six possibilities. Okay. The first two are probably the most likely. By the way, I also tried to see if there was any like UFO crash retrieval facet to this case, and I really wasn't able to find any good connections to that. So I don't think it was that. It's not saying it wasn't, but I think it's highly unlikely. So the first theory is classic Cold War espionage. So could the KGB have been targeting British scientists to disrupt the SBI initiative? And again, for folks who don't know, the SDI was a Reagan era program aimed at creating a missile defense shield. It was a significant threat to the Soviet Union. Would have been completely disrupted the MAD kind of strategy, mutually assured destruction, all that stuff. So the KGB was known for using unconventional tactics, including psychological warfare. Some suggest the scientists unaliving were staged to look like, transition, self transition assistance as part of a covert program. So, just that's probably the most likely. The second theory is corporate or state security. So another possibility is that the deaths were orchestrated to protect sensitive information. Were these scientists silenced because they knew too much about classified technology? Some of the victims reportedly expressed fears for their safety shortly before their deaths. So that's a little disturbing. Theory number three could have been industrial espionage. Sorry, that was weird. My phone just went haywire. Okay, that was really unhelpful. Anyway, okay. So, in the industrial espionage option, another compelling theory suggests that rival corporations or foreign competitors in the defense industry may have been involved in industrial. It may have been involved, right? So, industrial espionage often involves sabotage or targeted actions to disrupt competitors' products. Now, so could these deaths have been a result of covert operations to gain access to Marconi's cutting edge tech? The third is psychological experimentation. The lower I go down this list, the more extreme and unlikely these options are. So some researchers speculate that the scientists may have been unwilling participants in classified psychological experiments. These experiments, potentially tied to the military or intelligence sectors, could have induced states of paranoia or despair, leading to unexplained deaths. Fifth theory, internal sabotage. There's also the possibility of internal sabotage within Marconi. Disgruntled employees or rogue operatives might have targeted key personnel to destabilize projects or for personal vendettas. Such sabotage could align with the strange circumstances of many unalivings. And then accidental factors. Finally, there's the chance that these untimely transitions, while tragic, were coincidental. The high pressure environment of working on classified, high stakes projects could have contributed to mental health crises or accidents. Some investigators argue that the sheer number of deaths is not evidence of a conspiracy, but of immense stress that these individuals faced. So, those are some of the theories that are out there that, you know, who knows. Okay, so tap to yeah, exactly. No, I think he said on the day after the first day, so I don't think he's going to reveal tomorrow in terms of the drones, but he plans the day after. Yeah. That's possible because a lot of them are like Pakistani. It's kind of weird. So, or it could be a mixture of both, right? It could be maybe the British intelligence mer- eliminated these people, right? In order because they were talking to a foreign intelligence. You never know. Yeah, exactly. Lots of potential options for wet work here. All right, so I think the final part of it is this still to this day has not been solved. Everything's ruled a self unaliving, and et cetera, et cetera. So the the Marconi incident remains one of the most chilling and enigmatic mysteries in modern history. Whether the deaths were the result of espionage, corporate intrigue, or even more extraordinary, or something even more extraordinary, the truth remains elusive. So, what do you folks all think? Were these tragedies merely coincidental, or do they point to a deeper, darker conspiracy? So, just let me know in the comments what you think's going on here. But that's all for this segment. And thanks for listening to all this kind of weird stuff. I'm not really sure where where this would go. I thought it would lead to the UFO bone, but it doesn't, or at least didn't when I checked it out. So anyway, a lot of weird stuff has kind of come out in the last few days. So that's kind of the second part of this. You have the egg video. And then you have psionics professionals calling in the egg and then getting it to crash. And yeah, it's definitely not. I would. So Miss Tessa Marie is saying no coincidences. Way too many people unalive to be a coincidence. Yeah, I agree. It's a little shady, a little shady. But yeah, so this Jake Barber, I think is his name. I'm on the fence on this one. The video doesn't convince me of anything because I mean, I could put an egg on a ribbon and dangle it from a camera, and there's your egg video, right? So it really doesn't demonstrate anything. So could it be real? Absolutely. Could it be a hoax? Yes. So one of the things, and I don't always cite Green Street or McWest, right? But sometimes they can be useful. And one of the things that Green Street did is the barber's company is called Skywatcher. Okay. So he went up and looked up the registration of the company, like when it was incorporated, et cetera, et cetera. And literally 2 weeks after the drone flap started in the United States, which if you assume that it started on November 13th, about within 2 weeks, this guy had filed to incorporate his company in November of 2024. So this guy's portraying himself like he's this Skywatcher CEO, this and that. But his company's been around for less than 2 months, just in time for him to talk to the media about all this crazy stuff. So I'm not saying he's lying, but this is whatever it is. It's an op. It's obviously it's like obvious that it's an op. Now, is the op meant to deceive us, or is the op just meant to steer the narrative? And that just depends on whether or not this video is, this egg thing is real or not. But it's not. it shouldn't change anybody's mind. I don't know what it is, and I'm gonna need to see the thing flying around or something, right? It's just, and then the whole psionicists, bringing these things down with their minds. Is it possible? Sure. Is it probable? I have no idea. It's just video's not in the world of AI. Video is no longer convincing. It's just not. You can fake anything now. So in this video was not. It was not a compelling video. It was just an egg on a chain. That's it. So it feels kind of sketchy to me, but it could be real. I don't know. I just feel like we're being psyoped in some way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But they're not. They're not going to do that. Yeah, yeah. He probably doesn't even have a website yet. He just filed for an LLC in late November. Well, I think Ross is part of it, right? But again, it could be real. I'm not saying he fell for anything, right? It's just not. It's not that if you're going to create a lot of noise around the event, make sure you have the goods. Make sure you have like some really good physical or video evidence, because right now anybody could fake that video. Doesn't mean it's not real. It just means it would be easy to fake. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So feels too much drama around whenever revealing. When if it will just be obvious. Bam. Yeah. Like, when are we going to see something that's just obvious? Because this is not obvious. Yeah, exactly. Danlet, I just got through it. I just went through the whole thing. So I did that in the first quarter. I kind of burned up my content very quickly. It's a very weird set of events. All right, so that's kind of where I am with that. Separately, on I think Disclosure Team, Diana Walsh, Pasolka, and Lou Elizondo made an appearance. Neither of whom will ever respond to me, or I would love to have either on my show. I would be very blessed to have them, but they never respond to me. But they always appear on podcasts where the guests are foreigners, non-U.S. citizens, which is also a tell. Okay, because many of our intelligence members of our intelligence community cannot operate within the United States. So I could be wrong, but this all has kind of an op flavor. But anyway, in that particular interview, Lou Elizondo was saying that there was going to be within a week, and this video was recorded sometime last week. There was going to be a monumental event, and that all the normies, people on kind of UFO Twitter, so they're not going to be, it's not going to be shattering for them, but it's going to shatter the normie world, okay, of people who don't know anything about this stuff. Again, I'm highly skeptical about claims like that, right? Because we got all excited about the egg video, and it's just an egg on a chain. I don't know if it's real. I have no clue. But I think we're going to see. He claims we're going to see something pretty big. They on the same video or podcast, they also asked Diana Walsh Pasolka, or she volunteered, because they were asking what they thought these drone incidents were, and he or she basically said, "Oh, I talked to aerospace professionals, and They're pretty convinced that it's not UAP. Okay, then did you tell them to quit their jobs because they're fucking incompetent? Because we spend $800 billion a year on defense, and if they're a peer competitor, we can't shoot them down, we can't stop them. There's nothing we can do about them. That's unacceptable if that's the case. It's completely unacceptable. Every general in the Air Force should be fired because they are utterly incompetent. If that's in order for me to believe that these are not UAP, or at least some of them could be ours, some of them could be opportunistic Chinese drones or whatever, and the Chinese have disabled on like the company DJI has disabled its geofencing capability just to create chaos and things like that. But we can take these down. We have electromagnetic countermeasures, things like that, that can take drones down, right? So that shouldn't be a problem. However, if there's not a subset that's UAP, then there should be no reason these things are flying anywhere over a nuclear power plant. They should be taken down with extreme prejudice. So why aren't we doing that? Uh, Word has it that at Lakenheath, they alerted either the SAS or the SBS, right, elite British commandos, to come in and take down the drones there, and they were unsuccessful. So, either the best of the best doesn't cut it, or this is something else. And I think it's something else. So, anyway. Yeah, they're just yanking the chain on the egg. So, I really don't know. There might be some truth to it, but it just feels like an op. They're going to need to do a little bit more than this, right? Just come out, talk about like overall what we know. This is too specific. It's too outlandish. I don't know. Like this controlled disclosure stuff, they're failing pretty badly. Like it is failure mode. Uh okay, so did I see the post on 4chan about a supposed engineer that worked tracking them, saying not extraterrestrial, coming out of the ocean at known points, are scanning the earth, masking as other vehicles? No, I have not. So you're saying that they're Chinese or something? Because or are you saying that they're just non-human? Like what are they? Um, all right, I think I might need to get up for a moment because let me see. Okay, well, let me see. Yeah, I did. I did. He was like laughing at it. Yeah, Fred, I think that's what it is. Yeah, he said non-human, but from Earth, been here for a long time. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, or they got dirt on Gary. Yeah, I mean, look, it could be true. I'm going to need more. I'm going to need more than than this. I'm going to kind of sit on the sidelines and try to figure it out, before I kind of take a stance on it. Hey, I have to drop for a moment, but I will be right back. Just stand by. All right, sorry about that. I had to take care of a known stressor. Um, that was driving me crazy. So let's see. Yep, so that. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think there's any reverse engineered craft, but there are some next gen military contractor units up there, but they're not anti gravity. They're just, and I think they're up there investigating a UAP. Yeah, I think that's accurate, Garius. Anyway. All right. So where was I? So in terms of what like Diana Walsh Pasoka was saying is all these aerospace people are telling her that they're not UAP, which I think is horseshit. Um, if that's true, then these people are all incompetent. Like the entire industry is incompetent. So, unfortunately, the other thing, so I already talked about what Elizondo said. The other thing that was kind of weird was on the Julian Dory show. They interviewed Jason Sands again with Jamie Foxx or James Fox, and he talked about how he monitored communications and things like that. And one of the things he reported hearing was about the Ashtar command, which was really strange because that's like a 1950s reference with Van Tassel that a group of these people were channeling, and one of the people they channeled was the Ashtar command. The other thing that's strange about that is Greenfield has basically alluded to that being like a demonic reference because it's tied to, and for folks who don't know who Alan Greensfield is, he's a very like famous occultist who I've interviewed in the past in this channel, and he claims that the Ashtar Command is just like kind of Black Lodge, sort of like demonic and tied to Astaroth, which is like a kind of a like a demon influence. So there's like a lot of weird stuff, psyopy stuff going on right now. And I think the best thing to do is just look up at the sky and kind of just try to figure out this stuff on your own, because these people are just going to lie to you. They lie about everything. So they need to get their ducks in a row and be a little bit more conventional about how they pursue this. Like these outlandish, crazy stories are just, they feel like it just feels like it's entrapment. They're trying to trap you with a ridiculous story. And then when you believe it, then they'll be like, psych, you're crazy. So anything you do and say after this can't be trusted. That's what it feels like to me. So I'm going to be very cautious about accepting any of it, either positively or negatively. I'm not going to say it's definitely not real. I'm not a video expert. I can't evaluate those videos, but I do know that it's too late, guys. It's too late for the government to tell us this stuff, because we've reached a point of no return with artificial intelligence. I can fake anything now, right? Or I'm close to being able to fake anything right now on video. So they waited so freaking long in our history that it's too late for them to make this right, because no one will believe them anymore. I mean, they would literally have to take an alien body, put it out like they would for a dead president, and just have lines of people come to Washington, D.C. and see the thing for themselves. And even then, people would be like, it looks like a dummy. It's like a crash test dummy. Or they would have to have a craft that you could get inside and fly. Again, that's not practical. And then you have a traveling road show where you bring these things around. And even then, people who didn't attend the thing aren't going to believe it. The government has been lying for so long that like it's completely lost its credibility. The technology exists that you can fake anything. And the only way that you're ever going to get to the truth is what you know on your own. Right? And it's knowledge, not belief. You have to know, not believe. So, yeah, I was really super unimpressed. And I actually resent the buildup to this bullshit. Right? You get everybody excited. Oh, all this new stuff coming. Just wait, just wait, just wait. No, I'm not gonna wait. Like I'm super frustrated by this, clearly. Because we're not getting answers. We're getting a psionics program, really? Really? Maybe it's real. I don't know, but I need to see it. Yeah. You're 100% right. You have to do your own research. You can't rely on anybody anymore. You can't even rely on me, right? I have my own biases and things like that. I can just relate personal experiences and things like that, and even though those are ambiguous. So I was the more I think about this thing, because I haven't really internalized it, the more disappointed I am. And I know people who follow this topic who have just gone quiet because they're just like, I'm not going to get involved in this thing because it feels ridiculous. It feels absolutely ridiculous. So, just like just another psyop. Let's see. Yeah, it'll be interesting. And also, Trump said today he's got an executive order where he's just going to release stuff about JFK, stuff about Robert RFK, the stuff about Martin Luther King, right? His death. It sounds like the FBI was probably behind a lot of this. Maybe not all of it, but some of it, particularly MLK, perhaps. Anyway, it's gonna be tomorrow's gonna be spicy. That's for sure. Yeah. So, what do people think is coming next? Like, are we gonna see anything more substantive? We had Corbell talking about the slow approaching craft story, right? Which I don't know where that guy's. Yeah, they have been playing us like we're. I mean, we pay taxes, and they're just using that tax money to abuse Americans. You have Lawrence O'Donnell get up on MSNBC and say that veterans are the biggest terrorist threat that the United States facing. Hey, Lawrence O'Donnell, go fuck yourself. Like, do the math. Look at all the like terror attacks on U.S. soil since the beginning. There's only four, maybe five, if you count Eric Rudolph, veterans who did anything, and two of whom are Muslims, right? And just about every other attack, like the Boston Marathon bombing, Muslim. The both Twin Towers attacks, the one in like the 90s and the one in 2002, Muslims, right? Like, what is wrong with these people? I mean, like, what is wrong? Like, you had 2% of the population shouldering 2 decades of war on behalf of a population that didn't give a shit. And now you're going to say that they're the biggest threat? Like, what the hell's like wrong? Like, I hope if there's ever a draft, they draft his kids first. Put them straight in the front line. Don't give them any training. They could be a part of a mine clearing battalion. What the hell's wrong with this guy? Anyway, sorry, I had to get that out. I don't know why, but hey, how you doing, Kason Lee? Oh wow, yeah, that's weird. Yeah, but that side's allowed to insurrect, right? It's just mostly peaceful protesting when they do it. When they burn down Minneapolis and Seattle and Portland, it's mostly peaceful. Yeah, he did. He absolutely did say that about veterans. Um, but it's always some guy who didn't bother to serve, right? Like always, always. So, I mean, a lot of these people are like suffering from PTSD. They've lost limbs, right? They've been divorced. Like, yeah, I feel like this country has become the Fourth Reich. That's kind of where I am right now. Again, I'll pay my taxes and do no harm, but we're not the good guys anymore. We're just not. I mean, the Russians aren't good guys either, and the Chinese aren't either. But we're not. Our government has no claim on moral superiority anymore. Yeah, I agree with you, APB. I agree. You've seen what close up? No radiation. Now I do work. What does that mean, Garius? I'm not sure I understand. Hey, APB. Good to see you. Yeah, all is well. It's a little quieter tonight. I think all the content that I had prepared, I blew through it in like 20 minutes. So we're just talking about some of the recent podcasts that have come out, and it's just too much hype, too much distraction, not enough revelation. So yeah, that's a great movie with Kim Jong Il and Hans Bricks. Hans Bricks. Anyway, yeah, that movie was. You can't make that movie today. It would never serve. It would never pass the Hollywood censors at all. And then the song. Anyway, I'm not going to sing it, but it is a rather amusing song for sure. Oh man. All right. What else is on folks' mind, or what's on everyone's minds tonight? I mean, we have the inauguration tomorrow, which should be pretty interesting. Actually, let's. I'm curious to see. I wonder if ChatGPT has this stuff. Um, let's see. Okay. All right. So here's. Oh wow. All right. So he's poised to sign a series of executive orders immediately upon taking office, aiming to swiftly implement his policy agenda. According to reports, he plans to issue over 200 executive actions on his first day, with approximately 50 being legally binding executive orders. So some of the anticipated orders include immigration and border security. So he's going to declare a national emergency at the US Mexico borders to facilitate the closure of the southern border, initiating mass deportations of undocumented immigrants and designating drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, ending automatic citizenship for children born in the U.S. to parents illegally in the country, potentially challenging the 14th Amendment, reversing investments in renewable energy and promoting fossil fuel production by unlocking pipelines and enabling drilling in areas like the National Arctic Wildlife Refuge, withdrawing the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement. That's energy policy and government reform, reversing diversity initiatives implemented by the previous administration and ending remote work policies for federal employees, implementing a hiring freeze for for federal workers and requiring merit-based hiring practices, trade and tariffs, imposing tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico if they do not assist in curbing illegal immigration and trafficking with potential additional tariffs on Chinese imports. And then issuing pardons for individuals charged in connection with the January 6th Capitol attack. Yeah, it wasn't an attack. Again, you can see the bias bleeds into, it was a riot. Okay, it was not a freaking attack. If we were an attack, people would have been fucking armed. I mean, just the rhetoric around this thing is the most. Anyway, I'm just gonna stop. With considerations ranging from blanket pardons to those covering only nonviolent offenders. So that's kind of the answer to that question. So anyway, let's see. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Wow. Yeah. Well, I think back in the day, all these things were hidden, and people thought we were the good guys because there were no other fonts of information. I think it's just you. It still says live. Hopefully, it didn't go down. Yeah, but Trump controls Congress, so I think some of these things. I'm happy to see the pendulum swing radically in the opposite direction, considering where it's been. I mean, if we had another 4 years of the last clowns, we wouldn't be a country anymore. Yeah, you scared me a little bit, Gray Owl. I thought this got taken down for some reason, one reason or another. So I used the unaliving terms prolifically in the first half. So I'm worried that hopefully I don't get. I mean, it's just the fact that we have like you can't have a normal conversation anymore on YouTube because of this like insane censorship. It just doesn't make any sense anymore. So we shall see. And the other thing too is the inaugurations is inside this year. That's crazy. That's nuts. Presumably because it's too cold, or it could be that DJI got rid of its geofencing just to cause all sorts of trouble for Trump. Um, okay, we can play that game too. So, when their pipelines all start exploding over in China because they have some US component in there that's been sabotaged, we shall see. We shall see. Anyway, yeah, like I said, as I said, so Gray Owl writes, it is absolutely awful when we must dance around terms and truths and such. Welcome to Germany, 1935. Yeah, we're the Fourth Reich. Where did they send like a bunch of their scientists? They sent them here. And then, shortly thereafter, we implemented things like in 1953, like MK Ultra, like really dark, Nazi stuff. So, you know, not great. Not great stuff. Yeah. Yeah, they're worried that someone is going to see that they're quite possibly could be no real people and it's all CGI'd. So they'll do the alien thing. I'm sure we will never physically see an alien. Yeah, I think unless you see one on your own, right? The government's never going to supply that stuff because they don't. I mean, they don't do anything for the people. They just spend. They just tax and spend. That's all they do. I mean, are they even doing anything in Los Angeles? Like Los Angeles could barely help itself. And I don't even know if the federal. I mean, I hope the federal government sent some assets down there. Yeah, maybe it is a simulation. Is this? Yeah, yeah. They waited too long. They waited too long, and now the technology exists that they can like everything can be faked. Everything with the use of artificial intelligence. So we all have to figure this stuff out on our own, unfortunately, because our government is a tyranny. It doesn't have our interests in mind at all. Yeah, I mean, we do have passive radar, right? But if the Chinese are able to fly without being contested over U.S. airspace, that's an act of war. So it ain't the Chinese. If it were, we not only would we have to start a war with China, but we'd also have to fire everybody above one star general in the U.S. Air Force for spending billions of dollars, like hundreds of billions of dollars, with no result. Interesting. So there's a very interesting interview on Blossom Inner Wellness where Michelle interviews a 50-year-old arborist talking about the LA fires. Is very eye opening. Is that the sense so light about like the eucalyptus trees and how they were planted in the 1920s and are now ripe to explode with all the oil that they produce, or is it something else? Oh man, that's horrible, APB. So APB is writing 2 months ago. I watched my childhood home burn on TV. Mom and dad are 105 and moved to Arizona 2 years ago. I saw fires coming through the Camarillo estates many times. Took copious pics of the aftermath. Yeah, yeah. All right, so like you got me on pins and needles. What was the something else in terms of related to the LA stuff? Uh-oh. All right, let's see. Okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, it could be another Maui. All right, yeah. All right. I appreciate that, so light. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, everybody pray again for APB. It sounds like you made it over the last few weeks, but yeah, not good. Not good at all. So it sounds like what you're saying, Solite is like do stuff, DEW. Um, yeah, who knows? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah. Mountain Dew, not ideal at all. Yeah, burst. Yep. Yeah, it feels like a lot of this stuff is like on accidentally on purpose. I mean, it's not something you can really prove, but it definitely feels pretty off from that perspective. Yeah, I can imagine it's freezing in South Korea. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Yeah, by the way, it could be an op from a near peer competitor like Russia or China, right? Like they could cause maximum damage and it would be maximum plausible deniability. And it doesn't help that we've had the border wide open for 4 years. So we have 8 million people in here. Even if it's just a tiny percentage of them are here to do mayhem, it's still a massive number of people. Interesting. Wow. But what would be the incentive to do any of this stuff, right? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, lots of incompetent people in the last administration. But I don't know if you're going to see much of a change, right? You're just going to have lots of incompetent people from the other direction. They just won't hate white people. That's the only really difference. I have not heard anything from owls in like 2 weeks. Lots of coyotes, though. Lots of coyotes. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, will I be able to do anything with this? I'm sure Apple will thwart me, but I can try. Hmm. This is Coyotes from last night. Let's see if I can actually play it out loud. Oh, that's the wrong one. Yeah, I don't think it'll let me. It won't let me play it. It's like playing straight to my. Let me see if I can send this. Mm, yeah, it's kind of irritating. I don't know if I can actually. Nope. It's kind of annoying. I wonder if there's. Let me see if I can. Trying to do something that's technical while you're on a live stream is like 50 times harder. Um, okay, let's see. I might be able to figure it out. It's certainly not super easy, but mm, yeah, this is painful. I don't know how to get voice recordings i from my iPhone to my computer. If anybody knows, let me know. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, there are people who lost like $4.6 million homes and are only getting offered 800K by insurance companies. I mean, it's just like evil everywhere. Yeah, I mean, they can try to do that kind of stuff, but I mean, somebody will do something to them in their beds, in their sleep, if they actually try to do some of this stuff. I mean, it's dark. It's super dark stuff. Um, yeah, you can't hear them. They're super quiet. They are super quiet. I mean, that's the way they're built, right? They're built to fly silently. That's why they're so fast. That's one reason why they're so fascinating. Yeah, houses are expensive out here in California. So yeah, it's driving me crazy that I can't like transfer voice memos from one device to another. It's just like, what's the point? Yeah, maybe I can just ask ChatGPT. Like, oh, for Christ's sake. Oh, here. Okay, let's see. All right, this doesn't look like it's gonna work, but I'll try. Oh, here we go. All right, hopefully this works. Actually, I think I may have tried it last time, and it was like a like a massive failure. But let's see. Let's see if this actually works. Okay. All right. This is not. Swear to God, iMusic is. All right. Let's see if I can upload this. Probably not. Yeah, I got it to myself, but it's now I need to get it out of iMusic because all right. It'll be interesting to see if this actually works. It might work. All right. Yeah, I think it's going to work. Let me just turn it up. All right. Let me know if y'all can hear this. All right. Could you all hear that? Yeah. 100% coyotes. Yeah, I have a few of these. Um, um, Now that I figure out how to do this, I can share more of them. Okay, I'll try that again. No, they're definitely coyotes. Those were definitely coyotes. The other one, just moving this stuff around takes more time than it's worth sometimes. All right, so okay. All right, let's try this one. Okay. Everybody tell what that was? Yep. So all that stuff is recorded like straight out of my backyard. So all right, what do folks want to talk about now? Because I'm running out of steam. it's been it's been a long week. Yeah, but who is they? That's the question. But yeah, I think people running the country are that evil. I think they would do. I think they're that evil. I think they would do stuff like that. Yeah, they're definitely not Scottish owls. Yeah, 100%. All right, what else? What else we got going on? I mean, people keep acting like there's a ton of new stuff coming out, but it's just not. It's not that convincing. By the way, I received word that there's gonna, well, I can't remember exactly what it was, so I'm not gonna say. But watching this administration come out, it's gonna be interesting. Oh, who knows? I don't think people are that coordinated to organize a conspiracy like that, though. I think it's too complicated. Too many chances of defections, and that's the other thing too. Like sociopaths will stab people in the back, so they can't credibly work well with other people, right? So if one defects, the others will just take them out. Like they don't. But who knows? Let's see if there's anything interesting going on Twitter right now. Aside from this, let's see. Everything's all Trump, Trump, Trump. I wonder if there's something else. Yeah, I mean the other thing too is I'm seeing professional debunkers going after this Jake story, so I can't really show that because it's not credible, right? Like they're always gonna look at the negative side of things. Oh man. Yeah, I'm not seeing much on. Although in other good news, Mike Turner's being sacked by Mike Johnson, so he's being pushed out of the kind of intel position. Thank God, the guy was completely captured by the state or by the intel community for sure. Anyway, yeah, there's like nothing, nothing. There'll be plenty of stuff tomorrow when after the inauguration, but right now there's nothing. Let's see. Yeah, I know. I'm not. I don't allow TikTok in my household because it's just Chinese spyware. If any like device in your house has it, the terms of service allow them to monitor all devices in the household. So, oh, your government would know they're coming before people do, and they would have a retrieval team there before anybody showed up. They track it with radar and all that stuff. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Mikey Kneepads Turner. Yeah, 100%. Huh. I've never heard that before. Sentient black uh, goo from the Falkland Islands. Say more. That's fascinating. Even if it's not true, that's a fascinating story. Oh, I'm seeing more than that, but no, actually, no, that's probably pretty accurate. No, I think it's just they're just moving the deck chairs. I don't think we're going to get disclosure from the government. Sentient black goo. All right, now I got to look this up. I really need to look this up. Yeah, Prometheus, Marvel Universe, like Venom. Yeah, I don't. ChatGPT's got nothing. So Harold Kautz. Hmm. I'm just looking. I don't even know who that is. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, he's associated with Black Goo. All right. So Howard Kautz, for those who don't know, including myself, is a controversial figure often associated with fringe science, conspiracy theories, and esoteric research. He has discussed a wide range of topics, including transhumanism, black goo, artificial intelligence, chemtrails, and other unconventional subjects. While his work appeals to some with alternative research, within alternative research and conspiracy circles, it is widely dismissed by mainstream science and academia. Below is an overview of his background and ideas. So he's sometimes referred to as Harold Kultz Vela, is a German researcher and speaker. He often describes himself as an independent scientist or investigative researcher. His educational or professional qualifications are not clearly documented, and much of his credibility relies on self proclaimed expertise and anecdotal evidence. So, key topics associated with him: black goo. He popularized the concept of black goo as a sentient extraterrestrial interdimensional substance with potential links to consciousness, artificial intelligence, and alien control systems. He claims goo exists in two forms: one natural and harmonious, and the other malevolent and used for manipulation or control. He's a chemtrail guy. I'm not going there because if I say it anymore, God knows what YouTube will do. Nanotechnology and AI. He theorizes about advanced nanotechnological systems being used to create a synthetic form of human evolution linked to artificial intelligence and extraterrestrial technologies. Spiritual and esoteric concepts. Kautz, Kautz intertwines scientific speculation with spiritual and esoteric ideas such as human consciousness being hijacked by external forces or humanity undergoing a transformative awakening. Health and Morgellons disease. He has spoken about Morgellons disease, which he associates with synthetic biology, the C word, and black goo. He suggests it is evidence of a larger transhumanist or extraterrestrial agenda. So criticisms on him are a lack of scientific evidence. Mainstream scientists have criticized Kautz's theories as pseudoscientific, speculative, and lacking empirical support. Conspiracy framework, his ideas are often connected with broader conspiracy theories, which are dismissed by skeptics as unfounded or fantastical. Misinformation concerns. Some accuse scouts of spreading fear and misinformation, particularly regarding health and environmental issues. I should get a good balanced review by YouTube for saying that, so it'll at least curb or balance. So anyway, despite the lack of scientific validation, Kautz has found an audience within alternative and new age communities. His lectures, interviews, and online videos continue to spark debate and curiosity among those exploring fringe topics. If you're interested, yeah, you can delve deep. I'm not gonna. I think Sydney, thank you for that. You just provided me with about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes of content. That was fascinating. So I very much appreciate that. Let's see. Huh. Yeah, it sounds like black goo sounds like ectoplasm, but yeah. It is also like a trope in science fiction, by the way. Interesting. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Sydney. I think that was helpful and interesting. No, so what else is going on? Interesting. Miss Tess is saying, I've heard it comes out of dogmen and evil entities when they get cut. Huh. Harold Kautz Archive is the channel. Yeah, I did. I've spoken about it pretty often. So the cattle missing in Colorado. Yeah, it was about 160 head of cattle, and they're like 500 to 600 pounds each. Yeah, kind of weird. And it happened, I think, in December, November or December. I think it's in December of last year. So again, kind of around the drone incident time frame, or within the drone incident timeline. So yeah, I definitely covered it. I covered it last week or so, where I talked about it a little bit. Yeah, I know. I know. It's a little odd. Yeah. It is a little odd that they were able to move 100. Someone allegedly was able to move 160 cattle with no one seeing it. Yeah, that's not, one or two, sure, but 160. There's something definitely strange going down there, for for sure. Oh, good morning, Polar Nights. Good to see you. It's a little. I feel like it's a little slow for me tonight. I'm a little slow. I'm a little off my game tonight. I was on my game at the beginning, but I think I burned out on my content in the first 20 minutes. But I learned about black goo tonight, though. I was just familiar with gray goo, which gray goo is like self-replicating nanites that get out of control, and you have gray goo. There's a book about it called Plague Year. It's actually a series of books about a nanite plague that is triggered, and the only way to survive it is it's disabled at 10,000 feet. So all these people go to the mountains, extreme heights. It's written by Jeff Carlson, who's sadly, but it's a trilogy. And the first book is Plague Year. I highly recommend it. It's a really good series. But he sadly is no longer with us. But when I was first submitting short stories and stuff like that, he was awesome. He was like a really good to me. He was local. Unfortunately, he died of very aggressive cancer like 5 to 10 years ago. But his name's Jeff Carlson. Really, really good, upbeat dude. Wonderful human being. I think his father was like a scientist at Lawrence Livermore National Lab. So he's a hard science fiction writer. Awesome. So anyway, no, they're not supposed to be. I think like there's like a treaty that says they're not supposed to put military assets there, which, we all know how that goes. Because we're the bad guys too. The Russians aren't the bad guys anymore, but they are bad. We're just probably just as bad. And we're just as bad because at least the Russians don't pretend not to be bad, but we do. We pretend to be the good guys. Interesting. So it did make did make the mainstream news. Oh man. No, good. I hope they're back. Oh, do I have a story about dust? Yes. So I did an internship back in 2003 at Booz Allen Hamilton. It's no longer Booz Allen Hamilton. I think they like split again into like a commercial consulting and then like a public sector consulting. And one of the projects that they showed me, again, 2003, were MEMS, so micro electromechanical systems, but also NEMS, nano electromechanical systems. So devices that are so small that, uh, regardless, there was a company. I'm not going to say the company. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but they were talking about something called DUST, and it was some acronym, but it was basically a persistent sensor system of, I think the theory was nano electromechanical systems of nanite sized particles that would just be a persistent uh, surveillance technology, right? So that was in 2003. So we've had 20 years since. I bet you we're using that stuff everywhere now to get a picture of, various places. Oh, really? I didn't know that. So Norway, there was a flying egg shaped craft that entered the sea. Yeah, the Navy can't locate. Of course they can't. Of course they can't. Interesting. Yeah, nanobats are very scary. Yep, 100%. Used for surveillance. Yeah. My wife briefly worked as a contractor when I was in graduate school, and they also she worked for a defense contractor. I'm not going to say the name, but one of the things that they apparently were funding was a project where they could track pheromones. So the way somebody smelled, but each person smell like has a specific smell. So they can track key persons of interest by their pheromones, and then potentially take them out if needed. Or at least they were working on a technology kind of like that. I have no idea what happened to it because again, it's like 20 years ago. Yeah, there's lots of tons of terrifying things. Well, that's awesome. To be fair, I have certain like a filter on there so that like somebody doesn't come in with using the N word and stuff like that, and then get my channel taken down. So if you curse or something like that, it will filter those comments, and then I'll have to approve them or not. So just try not to curse because it'll delay. But I've also had stuff removed that didn't have like anything wrong with it. So let me see if I'm going to actively check that actually. Um, yeah, it's hard to tell if there's anything new. Huh. There's like stuff that's popping up that shouldn't. Yeah, I don't see anything that was shunted to my kind of approval queue. Yeah. Let's see what else we got going on. No, it's good. I'm glad you're wordy tonight, APB. You're contributing to the discussion, which is great. It's so weird. Yeah, and it's super it, like, assumes the worst intent or whatever you say. It's really weird. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Oh, man. Yeah, tomorrow the inauguration is gonna be, interesting tomorrow. Apparently, it's indoors now because it's too cold. I wonder if that's the real reason or I mean, 'cause the government lies about everything, right? So, I doubt that's the real reason. It's probably the drone thing. The drone thing coupled by all these, crazies who, think it's okay to who've already made attempts, right? I don't I don't think the public can force disclosure. I think the only thing the public can do is just experiment with reality on their own. Same thing with anti-gravity, same thing with all like it's just experiment with them and if it's dangerous, oh well. The government didn't hasn't been useful in any way, shape, or form. So not I think that's the only way. We're not gonna force disclosure on anything. Huh. Yeah, I think it's because of the threats. And I think it's also because of like the geofencing thing that the Chinese like DJI disabled all the geofencing on their drones. So that just like makes the number of potential threats skyrocket. Yeah, everybody, to the extent that you believe in God or source, or whatever, just pray for APB. APB, you're going to be fine. But everybody just pray. Yeah, I just think just try CE5. It could be dangerous. You could be summoning demons for all I know, but nobody's talking and nobody's telling us anything. So might as well experiment with it and see what happens. Yeah. Yeah. Take care of yourself, APB. What else? Sorry for this. It's just a slow night, man. It's just slow. And I'm trying to catch up. I just did another interview or two interviews today. Did he really do that? Yeah, I heard there was some trader put $1 million in and returned $30 million. Like that guy better sell, get out of it, lock his gains in, and never has to work another day in his life. I didn't even know. He's got to get out before the rug pull. You know, unreal. Very nice, very nice. Lock those gains in, man. Lock them in because the rug pull is coming. Always does. Yeah, I agree. The balance does need fixing in order to be in healing. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Interesting. Yeah, though I think I've tried it 3 times, but you're supposed to do it in a group. I always do it I think I tried it once in a group, and the first 2 times nothing happened when I did it alone. When I did a group, it was, like, on the border of Skinwalker Ranch, and the wind blew a chair into the fire at me while I was sleeping. So that's kind of the result of that. Wow. Yeah, I agree. Wait, what happened? Fred, what's driving the WTF? I'm inquiring minds wanna know. We all wanna know now. Is it just the insane. Yeah, maybe. If there's one thing that's a certainty is Trump is gonna get a hell of a lot richer after this time. Oh, the story about the chair. Yeah. Yeah. It was weird. Oh, yeah, Baron Trump would probably be behind that. Unreal. Unreal. Alright, what else? No, I think I'm gonna probably drop off in another minute, but, it was good talking to everybody. Say prayers for APB, and yeah. Yeah, you do pretty well. That's fair. That's fair. Alright, any last questions, comments, concerns, good jokes? Alright, well, God bless. Good luck. Enjoy your hopefully, you'll at least in the United States, you all have tomorrow's a federal holiday. Enjoy your day off, and, it's gonna be a wild ride this year. So, thanks all. Good night, and God bless.